Virgos, this is your reading for 17. Let's go ahead and get started, and I'll explain the positions as we go along. The first card is the situation card, your current situation, the most recent situation, or the one that's going to happen in the very, very near future. And it is the Five of Cups reversed. Normally in this position, I usually get the viewer's card. For instance, if you are a Cancer, I would pull up the Chariot, okay? However, sometimes the situation just calls for whatever is needed to be seen. And so, rather than the situation becoming a significator like it usually does, there was a message that needed to get to you so badly that they couldn't give you your card. However, if you look at the man who's in this sorrow, he looks a lot like the Hermit. Okay, he's looking down like the Hermit does. He's wearing this huge cloak, only it's not hooded. Okay. Talking about the Five of Cups as a situation. Here, this means a bitter marriage or a marriage with lots of frustrations. So this could mean that I like to read the reverses as opposites. Okay, so either you're in a very happy marriage, and maybe you've just hit a stalemate, but all's not lost, okay? But if you think about it as the opposite, here you're in a marriage, here you're out, okay? But if you are in a happy marriage, this is bitter, or with a little bit of suffering and melancholy. But in reverse, hey, you're happy, you're finding joy. However, when it's reversed, this can mean news is coming about a renewal. I know there's a group of you out there, based on the reading cards, that you are hoping for a renewal with your current partner, or with a past partner, or with a partner who's just unstable and practically abusive. For those of you who are looking to bring some excitement back in your marriage, I'll go ahead and give you the few cards I saw for you, and then you can exit out of this video because there's not much here for you, okay? So for those of you who are going to just kind of spice up your marriage, there were a few cards in here that were indicative of that. However, I'm not really seeing that right now, okay? I'll have to go back and look at those. But if perhaps you're in a relationship and it's just kind of boring, not that you don't love each other, you're just kind of frustrated with being so busy. Here it is. So busy that it's interfering with your marriage or your relationship, okay? Some of you may get pregnant, okay? And that might help spice things up or keep you together, but permanently, okay? But just for the spiciness first, for the Romance Angel Oracle cards, you got playfulness. And it, just like it says, okay, you need to recapture your romance. Allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine through. Don't be boring, okay? This is for those of you who that's your biggest problem, is you're just having a boring relationship because of your work life, okay? And then it talks about romantic feelings, okay? That you need to pay attention to your romantic feelings. They're important. And just explore them, and you can see you're getting a little frisky there. And one of your challenges, if I can't find it. Oh, yeah. And the card that you picked up as far as your love life's getting in the way, your work life's getting in the way of your relationship, that was in the change column. So your advice is just to change, okay? Sometimes when we have the Judgment, it talks about awakening or a resurrection. When it's reversed, it talks about simplicity and deliberation, coming to a decision. This says, don't weigh the pros and cons. Your work is invading your love life, okay? And you have to do something about it. Don't think about it. Don't take the time. Just do it. Make the decision. Deliberate very quickly if you do. And just keep it simple. be playful, spice up your marriage. If you do spice up your marriage or relationship, it may end up in a pregnancy. Okay. But that's it for those of you who are in a somewhat or more than likely happy relationship. So if that's you, you're done. Goodbye. See you. Good luck. Be happy. For the rest of you, your relationship that you've recently been in, you're currently in, or you will be in, for a short period of time, it's not good. Okay. This usually talks about troubles ending. That's your current situation, or one you'll be in the near future, or you just got out of. This says you need to settle unfinished business. Talks about false starts or false projects that are starting up. This also talks about the return of a close friend or an ex-lover. This also talks about either move on or build up your love relationship. It also talks about reconciled lovers. Sorrow is over. Build bridges. And honestly, I think that's what you're wanting to hear. I think you want to reconcile with this ex-lover or a close friend that you want to be a lover. But it's going to be a false start. Okay? Or you recently found out it's a false start. You tried to renew, it didn't work. You had trouble trying to renew it, and it ended. And that's going to cause your sorrow to be over. Initially, there will be sorrow, but then you will be happy. Because in reverse, it also talks about, you're out of this relationship, or you think you might need to be out of it because it could be abusive. So let's say you recently got out of it, and so no more sorrow, unfinished business is settled. You're going to renew yourself, not a relationship. You're no longer depressed. You're no longer hurt by betrayal or the loss of the relationship. But you cannot be honest with yourself about this person. Okay? Here it means use pain as a catalyst to growth, but you're not. Okay? This is gained wisdom, the opposite. This means there's something remaining behind to be hopeful about. Here, this relationship is not salvageable. I know that's not what you want to hear. Okay? When it's reversed, this means you have an affinity to a person. Could be a karmic tie, okay? But because what you feel, you personally, not the other person, what you feel, the attraction, the affinity towards them is so strong that you're having a very, very hard time getting rid of the memories of the relationship. Trust me, I've been there. Sometimes I'm still there. It's a cycle. You have to keep making it go away, okay? That's your current situation. Going to your conflict, your obstacle, it can also be considered your fate, karma, or destiny. But here I think it's more of an obstacle or a conflict. Empress in reverse. So yes, automatically I think infertility or an unwanted pregnancy. So let's say you're in an abusive relationship, or you just got out of a really unstable, terrible relationship. But you still have feelings, you're still thinking about it, you're still hurt, you're not letting go. And then you find out you're pregnant and it's unwanted because you think, you might just got out of this and now I'm tied to it. Okay? That's one thing that could happen for some of you. Virgos. See, she has stars on her crown in reverse. Usually that means you're seeing the light. Almost like the hermit has that star in his lantern. But that's more to draw people in. Okay? So normally you might draw people in with your femininity and your life and your fruitfulness. But here, you're not being fruitful. You're not seeing that relationship take off the way it needs to. It's not growing. It's not producing. Then again, maybe the only thing you're producing is an unwanted pregnancy. When I think of this card, it's ruled by love because it's ruled by Venus. So you're having a harvest. You're reaping. This is great. It can appear after a breakup. You're really getting what you need. You're taking initiatives. You're fulfilled. You have creativity, maybe even a little like a clandestine relationship. But here, this is the truth. Okay, the matters that you're dealing with are unraveling because of the truth. Also, you're vacillating. You're not making a decision. You really, really, really love this person, and they almost can't give two flips about you. But this also talks about rejoicing in public. So there is a teeny bit of reversed Empress hope. When it comes to love, upright, this means sensual lovers. You really care about each other. In reverse, it says the male partner, because this is very, very female, okay? And I am going to talk about gender here, okay? The male in this relationship, or the person who is like in a male role in the relationship, or a past relationship, they no longer think about you or care about you. Almost as if you're not a blip on their radar, whether you're still in the relationship or not. And in that way, they have no longer care to hide infidelity from you. They don't even care enough about you to do that. This talks about arguments, severe sorrow. It says for both partners, but here with the rest of the cards, and this person not caring about you, I think it's mostly your sorrow, and it's severe. And that's why you're going back and forth. Like, I don't want to feel this way. I love this person. You're hoping you can work to make it better. And for those of you, who can make it work and make it get better, it's going to take a lot of work. And that's probably more for the people who have a boring relationship. Okay? This means closed dialogue. You're bottled up. You can't talk about your feelings in this relationship. You've lost your personal power, either from the breakup or just because your lover is a terrible person. The universe, you feel as if the universe is not intervening. You're lacking something in your life. But funnily enough, some of you could be blessed with a baby, even though it's unwanted. And as I've said in other readings, children are a gift from the Lord. So it may be your fate to have a baby with a person who you no longer see or speak to after, you break up. That's probably for the best. There's some times where children don't need to know who one of their parents are. Okay, babies can bring happiness in the midst of something very terrible. However, I think this is mostly about love. Just letting you know that your obstacle is you are so sad because this person that you love doesn't even know you anymore. They don't even know that you're alive. Oh, okay, Virgo. There's a section about change, which means either change is coming into your life and it tells you about it, or this is something you need to change to help with this obstacle. And like I showed earlier, it's the Two of Pentacles in reverse. There's a lot of different meanings for this card, so take with it what you can. This can talk about over-giving or overspending, overexerting yourself. Somebody's not seeking harmony. It also talks about people who are so busy with their work life that they can't have a good relationship. This also talks in reverse. It talks about an on and off again relationship that could go along with indecision. Your partner can't make a decision about whether or not to get married. You want to get married, they're not really seeing it. They not have a heart for marriage, and so they're not really giving you that commitment that you want because they don't see a future with you and they don't care. So you could be coming between a decision. And in the reverse, it says this on and off again relationship is going nowhere. The ship, that has your luck on it is leaving. It's not coming in. And also, this is the change card. In reverse, it talks about make a definite decision and the pattern will end. And for some of you out there, you don't want this pattern to end. You want them to come back. If they come back, they're just going to leave again. They're not faithful. I mean, honestly, I do not know what you see in this person. I hate them myself. Not that I hate people, but just, you've got to love yourself more than this. And this can also talk about handwriting, the exchange of letters, or maybe emails, something in print. So maybe your ex-lover or ex-close friend that you want to be a lover, even your current lover, maybe you're exchanging texts, and they're only giving you, the time of day because they want just the more sensual side. And here, the situation card talks about, your sorrow's over. The Empress talks about your obstacle is you have severe sorrow, maybe because it's over. And this in reverse talks about you're forcing yourself to be happy, either in the relationship or the relationship's over and you are very depressed and you're trying to make yourself happy. And it's just false. You're not. Okay? If you're in an abusive relationship, you're trying to make it look like everything's okay and you need to stop. That's the change you need to make. Otherwise, this severe depression, this lack of fruitfulness, it's not going to change. The obstacle will be there. Here, this talks about nurture your relationship. Opposite is don't nurture it. If you try to nurture this relationship, it's going to be a dead end. You're just wasting your time. You need to choose between yourself and your love interest. And I know love is supposed to be, altruistic, self-sacrificing, but that's for people who actually care about you. And if this is a decision you're trying to get a partner to commit, it says you may decide to delay that decision between getting married and loving yourself or loving your lover. It might be delayed. But if that's what this means, then your advice would be to do the opposite. Don't delay that marriage decision. Don't do it at all. Choose between yourself and love. Don't waste another minute. For your strength, this pretty much says it all. Okay? Your strength is in reverse. You're weak. You don't have any strength. You can't tame the lion. Okay? You're normally a compassionate person. But your strength, I really had to look for a strength here. Because immediately this just says, your strength is you don't have a strength. And that makes no sense to me. So I actually had to research this card a little bit. I mean, this person they've broken you down so much that you almost you have nothing going for you. This talks about self-doubt, weakness. Here you bring your instincts into balance. Here you just go with your instincts, your animal instincts, and it's out of control. There's hatred, there's arguments, your relationship is not good. But here, here this talks about you're eliminating depression after a breakup. And the man in this relationship, or the man role, thinks that the woman just has it all. She's compassionate, she's feminine, she's strong. Here it says your alliance has strength. At upright it says, you reconcile after a breakup. And perhaps your strength is also what you dread, okay? Your strength is that you're not going to reconcile after the breakup. You're not secure in this relationship. And you finally start to realize that your man is uncaring. That's what this says. It says you realize that. So I really had to dig in for a strength with this one. And it's that you come to that realization that he's not good. He's not for you. You're not secure and you want to be secure. And so you start realizing that you're not going to reconcile. I know that's sad, but it's what's going to get you through. And if you look, both the infinity signs in these cards, the change card and the strength card, are upside down. So in the change card, the Two of Pentacles, it says make a definite decision. Okay, here we have infinity. There's infinity. It's going to go on forever. There's some possibilities here. There are not so many possibilities. Okay, just do it. Here, with the infinity upside down, it's talking about you can't go on like this. Your strength is you realize it. It's not going on forever. You're not balanced, okay? And normally this means imbalance, but to change, you need to balance whatever it is. Your emotions, your heart, your logic, okay? So it was very hard to glean anything from that strength card. After the strength card, we go on to the It's called Other Challenges, or it could be a dare on how to change the situation overall. Cards can dare you to do something, but it also talks about your challenge. The first card that came up was the Eight of Swords upright. And immediately you see she's blind, she's obstructed. Okay. We've seen this card before. This talks about bondage. So it could be another challenge, or it could just relate to what your conflict is. It could just clarify the conflict. If you do have an unwanted pregnancy, here this says you might feel trapped by it, but you're really not, because she can easily get out. Okay? She's not bound very tightly. If it's talking about a relationship that's terrible, you're not stuck in the relationship. You can get out. Stop being indecisive. Okay? Upright talks about victimization. That's your challenge. You're in a bad relationship. Here, this means you're getting out. Here, this means you can't see a way out, even though there is a way. You're bound. You have mistrust. You need to be objective. That's your challenge. Upright, it means bad news. A crisis. Also, it means you just don't know what to expect, if you were free. So you're taking a risk and staying with the known for fear of the unknown. This could also talk about your partner is limiting your power. Your partner is a commitment phobe, or you. And seeing as how we were vacillating between either staying or leaving a partner, or being happy and sad about a breakup, or deciding between marriage or non-marriage. Someone here is a commitment phobe, and I don't think it's you. You seem to be really dedicated to this person, and I'll leave it at that. And the upright, okay, well, in the reverse, this says you see your partner's true nature. The challenge is you don't. You don't see how they really are. And coming back to your strength, the strength is also supposed to help out the other challenges. This says you finally start to realize that they are uncaring. And that might just be a very positive term for an abuser or a psychopath or a sociopath based on this reading. But your challenge is you're not seeing it, but your strength is you're going to. So that makes it seem a little bit better. Okay. Your partner is not ready to have feelings for you, or they just don't, okay? You have no date with whoever you want. And here it means if a partner's cheating, it's revealed. Here, I'm thinking you just don't see the cheating. You're not being faithful to you, and you're not seeing it. Here it means the relationship will continue. Here it means it will not continue. Okay, so that's a challenge as well as a dare. But I thought, this seems like, a conflict, an other challenge. But what about for those people who want more of a dare? Or they just want some clarification on this? And I got the Ace of Cups upright. This talks about fertility. It talks about love and joy and happiness, peace. It also talks about an offer of love. Okay? Talks about new love, a new beginning, and a new relationship. So thinking about this as fertility, here there could be an unwanted pregnancy, and in the challenge, you're pregnant. Could be a dare to just keep yourself open to a new love. If you have broken up with this person, for one, don't go back to them. Don't let them come in if they try, but I think it's more likely you would try. So don't go back to them. Because if you make that definite decision, as this change card tells you to do, you're going to get a new offer of love. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be emotional. Maybe not over emotional like you might want, okay? But this person's going to be amazing. You're going to be happy with the pregnancy. The challenge or the dare could be go through with the pregnancy, despite who be the father. You're going to be fruitful. And coming back to the strength card, you see she's really compassionate. She's giving. You're going to see that your partner thinks you're too giving, and you realize they're uncaring because you give and give and give, and they don't give back, and you're going to see that. So when this new love comes, you want this kind of a love because you can be giving. Not only are they going to receive it, but they're going to reciprocate. It might be amazing. Okay. As for a little clarification about the new love, it's like keep an open mind. Okay. You know, your soulmate may not be your usual, typical, your pick, your choice. And honestly, if you've picked this other person, you may not need to be going with your typical choice, okay? Whoever it is that would usually catch your eye, you need something different. So keep an open mind. That's your dare, your challenge. This person's going to be great. Also keep an open mind about a baby, okay? Because Cupid is really young in this picture. All right, coming to your final outcome. It's called potential, but I think of it as a potential outcome. And 2 cards fell out, and I just thought, well, I wasn't really, thinking that was going to happen. So I went ahead and pulled another card, which I would have done anyway. So the first 2 cards that kind of fell out were 4 of Cups in reverse and 7 of Swords upright. And thinking about how you're just so indecisive about this person, it makes sense that you would have 3 cards for your potential outcome, okay? 2 that popped out and 1 that I would have normally done, okay? Looking at the 4 of Cups that came out first, this talks about fear of being alone. And honestly, after all this good stuff has happened, I don't know if this is going to be your outcome. It could be that because you've just gone between this guy, gone on and off with him, one of your potential outcomes is that you're afraid you're going to be alone and your depression is affecting your love life. That's one possible outcome. And I think that's if you make a decision to continue this cycle and you don't change like I told you to, okay? Or the cards told you to, not me. I'm just the interpreter. This talks about a relationship needs a new approach to flourish. Here, this is saying break up to make room for a new person. So if you keep an open mind, one outcome will be that you will break up with this person, whether you already have or you're just breaking off the karmic ties that you still possess, and you're going to make room for someone else. And again, in the reverse, it says you understand that your man is not right for you. You'd be seeking pleasure with this person, but it's not satisfying you because you know there's nothing deeper, even though you want there to be. This also says break the relationship tantrum. So you're going to break this cycle, this tantrum. You're going to relax, you're going to seek an outlet, and when you do all this, you're going to restore your self-esteem. Also, this can talk about you have any options. Oh, actually, in the upright, it talks about you have any options, but you're just not going to date at all. So here, this means you think you have no options, but you are going to date. And that's a good thing. You need to get out there because you will find that person by keeping an open mind. And this means you will find a stable and committed relationship, just what you wanted. You're not going to give too much of yourself and not get anything in return. Your lover doesn't think there's anyone better than you. If it were upright, this would mean that you're still with that bad partner and they think that they need or want somebody better than you. They think there is somebody better than you. And here, your new partner will be thinking that. Your old partner is not going to change. They will not suddenly say there's no one better than you because that's not how they feel. They don't even know that you're alive. The next one, the second outcome that you just got blessed to have, being blessed meaning you have multiple outcomes that you can pick from or that you will receive all of them. 7 of Swords upright. And normally I hate this card, okay, because it talks about potential, giving into fantasy, lust, and not knowing what's best. So if you keep being indecisive, one of your outcomes is you're still not going to know what's best. In Virgo, I want to talk to you like you're a kid or one of my students and say, make a decision because you do not want this to be your outcome if that's what this means for you. Talks about being restless, changeable, and achieving things dishonestly, a volatile, affectionate person. So maybe the person shows you affection, but it's false and they're really just violent. This says that your advice is to be cautious. Talks about emotional betrayal. You can be bored or withdrawn, or the other person might be. This talks about somebody's afraid of being trapped. You might attempt or wish to be with this partner, but you'll have quarreling. You have too much hope or confidence in this person. You need to communicate honestly. And then again, it also talks about someone slandering you or gossiping about you. So this could be a bad outcome. That's what I think they're wanting to show you if you don't make up your mind. This is the bad result. And this is the good result, okay? The outcome that I would have pulled, which I did, is the King of Swords upright. Immediately I see that sword, and just like with Justice, which is the Leaper's card, I think of victory. Swords upright mean victory. So you also have another option. You can be victorious. This talks about judgment. Maybe you're going to end up with good judgment, just like Justice, actually. Your new person that you're looking for, that we talked about, or maybe you're not looking for them, but you're going to keep an open mind and they find you. See the butterfly? They're going to transform you. You're starting out as a caterpillar, coming out a butterfly. The other person doesn't care about you that much. In fact, your other partner is probably the King of Swords in reverse. But because you pulled it up right, you're going to get somebody who makes you feel as connected or as in love as you do with that partner that's not good for you. But you're going to feel it to a greater extent because they reciprocate. The person that you're meeting needs somebody who's mentally stimulating. They want somebody intelligent. They're flirty and they're charming. He's well educated, but he's a little wary of over displaying emotions or passion. So he's not going to like it if you're too giving or too compassionate. So your strength is, this guy is going to like you like this. He's going to like it where you're not as compassionate or giving. This talks about you're going to, in your relationship, if you're making a decision, or if you're trying to get your partner to commit to marriage, like we talked about, that you both are finally going to get together and just see where your relationship stands. This talks about weighing the pros and cons of the relationship, and you'll see that your lover is too critical, and your past partner, or the one that's not good for you, he's almost going to show you, or somehow he's almost boasting that he can rule your heart all day long because he's all you think about. And I mean, this could be a male Libra because it looks a lot like Justice, but really Libra doesn't have a connection to this card. It's more like an Aquarius or a Capricorn. Okay, so this Aquarius or Capricorn can be the one that you're bound to psychologically, but this can also represent the person who's coming for you, or you're going to fall in love with, and he's good for you. And then he could really rule your heart in a good way. It talks about this new person's going to get to know you, and you're going to get to know your lover, your new one. And here, they're just going to have this authority and power that you swoon over. And if for some reason this is representative of you, as you know, your outcome, after all the changes that you could make for the good, you've educated yourself on love, and you are powerful, you are in control, you have your strength back, you are victorious. Yeah, that's what I see for that. So those were outcomes. It's up to you which outcome you get, okay? And you might get two, because these two are positive. Middle one's negative, okay? So the cards wanted me to give you a positive and a negative, and then this one could have just represented to you or your new lover to keep your mind open. So it could be a good lover or you as a victor. I pulled a few other cards as some clarifications. The first one is the significator that I pulled. It is the Six of Wands. It talks about having a crown of hope, expectation, a victor who's triumphing, great news, you're overcoming. Okay? Talks about achievement, creativity, inspiration, rewards, a turning point. The outcome is going to be better than you expect. And no, I do not mean with your past lover. Somehow your work is going to be related to your personal life. Whether you find somebody through work or you finally get balanced and you allow your work to no longer overtake your love life. Because maybe you balance it because you see them at work. If you get a promotion, it'll improve your relationship. You know, you're happy, you're celebrating. When it's reversed, this talks about a temporary awkward attraction at work. But since it's upright, this makes me think that if you did meet someone at work, it would not be temporary and it wouldn't be awkward at all. In regards to love, this says you're going to enter a relationship with a dream lover. A dream lover is not somebody that you're dreaming you'll be with, that it's not good for you. Dream lover means somebody who is what you want and need. It's good for you. Things are looking up, okay? This significator can make sure you know that this relationship is for you, or it could just clarify something. Then I was asking for a clarity card, and I got 2, so lucky you. I don't know which one was first, so I just pulled them this way. Here we have the High Priestess, and she's very much like the Empress, okay? So she's going to clarify about that. The High Priestess talks about mystery in love, the future. You're going to work to get your goal, use your intuition, with the moon in there. But that can also talk about secrets. It talks about an unstable life, doubt, not having passion, working hard, but being silenced. And we talked about earlier how you feel like you have to bottle yourself. You have to bottle yourself up. Okay. This also talks about you're going to have a mysterious love with passion, and also, with the there's supposed to be pomegranates in the background. I don't know if you can see them. If you think about Persephone, the story of Persephone, she was taken to the underworld. Who's the ruler of the underworld? I don't remember now. But he takes her there, to have this love, and I think, he rules the underworld. He's almost like death, or the Grim Reaper. And that makes me think about your bad lover. And for whatever reason, she eats a pomegranate. And because she took a bite of the food, she's kind of stuck. But not forever, because her mom comes in and saves her and brings her back. And she's allowed to spend 6 months above or on the earth. And that's when we have summer and spring. And then she goes below into the underworld for 6 months as her contract for eating that pomegranate. And that's when we have fall and winter. Okay. So again, this talks about an on and off, again, relationship or attraction. Sometimes you feel like you were just summery and on top of the world. And other times, it's like everything's died and you're in hell. So that can just clarify how bad the relationship is, even though sometimes it's good. And this also talks about fertility of the mind. But with all this fertility coming up, there could be a baby involved. And then it could just be talking about harvest. At first, you weren't getting anything back. You weren't harvesting with this reversed Empress. And then here, she's talking about that fruitfulness that you're going to have. And I also like this as a clarifier because in reverse, it means you need approval or a validation from a guy. And guess what? Here, you don't need that. So it's clarifying that you are going to see the light. You're going to see that this is unstable, that there's secrets. You have to work to get a better future. You don't need to doubt yourself. You don't need to listen to this person. They're conceited. You're going to work hard. You don't have to be silent because you're wise. It's going to be you with the King of Swords. You're going to be wise. Everything's going to come out balanced. You won't get an answer from this person if you're trying to contact them. So that's what clarifies for the High Priestess. And another clarifier is the Devil in reverse. And this is great. Devil can represent Capricorn. And so talking about, that other card. King of Swords. Somebody who's coming in could be an Aquarius or Capricorn, possibly a Libra, not necessarily. But if you've already been in a relationship with a Capricorn, this talks about you're no longer going to be bound to them. Normally there's two lovers and they're bound by a chain in the devil's dark cave, but they're not bound very tightly. And they have horns like the devil and the pagan god Pan, which represents fertility. So again, with this fertility inverted, this could mean that, it's clarifying that you're not getting your harvest, your fruitfulness. Or it could again talk about the unwanted pregnancy. But mostly I think this means freedom. You're being released from this bad relationship. You're being released from the devil, okay? You're getting out of the cave. You're not going to be blind to them anymore. You can get out. You're not bound very tightly. And in upright, it means they can get out. They're not bound tightly. And here, they saw it and they got out. So it's clarifying what can happen to you better. This also, upright, it means blind. Here it means not blind. You will no longer be bound to this person and you're going to be free. I like it. The last cards I asked for were an advice card. And I pulled up Judgment in reverse. I was thinking of everything I know about this card. I thought that just doesn't sound right. This talks about analyzing, upright. It talks about analyzing for a verdict. You're going to be awakened. You're going to have this resurrection. You're going to make a decision. You're going to have clarity. You're going to recover. Somebody's going to get their karma. You're going to be rebirthed. You're going to transform. And then it talks about, in reverse, it talks about simplicity, deliberating, making a decision, weakness. Also talks about settling for an abuser, running away from your feelings, knowing that your relationship is bad and you're running away from it. I mean, that's literally what it says, okay? That's not just me input opinion. And then, because it talks about weighing pros and cons, reverse, it's saying don't weigh the pros and cons of this relationship. But it also says if you did, you wouldn't be able to get a verdict. You would show poor judgment. So it's saying if you're trying to make a decision, you would make the wrong decision because of this tie that you have to this person. So it's saying, you can't get a verdict. You don't need to be weighing pros and cons. But upright, I was thinking, what could this be about? It talks about the final cleansing of a relationship. So your advice is to just end it and clean up the mess for the last time. Put that definite end to a pattern. It says your advice in reverse is be a wise lover, because this relationship has reached its climax. It will not get better. Or it could mean that you're going to get a wise lover. But this is an advice card, and it just wasn't clicking for me. So why on earth would you give this to somebody saying, settle for the abusive relationship? That's not advice. That's just clarifying what they're doing. And so I pulled another card. It was the Six of Cups in reverse. And immediately it clarified the judgment for me. It made a lot of sense. With Six of Cups, this talks about history, the past, and it's upright. The return of an ex-lover. This is saying, don't be foolish and return to an ex-lover. That's your advice. There is no happiness there. It's all over. Any happiness you had in the past is dead. And it's telling you that information, but it's also telling you just don't go back. Or if you're in a relationship and you're seeing that it's dead, don't weigh the pros and cons like the judgment was telling you. It says get free and be happy. So here in the upright it says weigh the pros and cons. In reverse it says don't weigh the pros and cons. And in reverse this is telling you if you don't weigh those pros and cons that it tells you to, You will get free from the past and you will be happy. But there is no happiness in your past. And I asked for another clarifying card, actually two, out of the Romance Angel Oracle deck. Just, for more love advice. At first I wasn't sure if this was going to be about love, and so I just got some love cards in case it was. And it turns out that that's all it's about. The first one says let go of control issues. So if this is advice for you, it's saying don't try to control this relationship because you can't. You can't say, well, I'm not going to let it end yet. I need this. You can't control how they feel about you, okay? But if this is advice for you that's talking about the other person, you could say let go of the controlling person. And I asked for one more clarifying card about that as the advice card. And I got honeymoon in reverse. Normally I don't read these in reverse, okay? Because these are all good cards, and so if you have a reverse, it's not always that great. So in reverse, I think it's saying that the honeymoon period in your relationship is over, meaning that happiness from the past is not returning. It's over, it's dead. And then if we look at it in reverse, it could also talk about that new relationship, that soulmate that doesn't quite fit what you're used to. You're going to have a honeymoon period. So it can actually fit for you both ways. I also throw stones on the Bible and see where they land. I just flip to a random page. So in this reading, you got one. And it landed on Joshua, and it's the very first chapter. Where did it go? Okay. It landed on verse 8, and you can glean from it what you will. It says, the book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. So for any of you who are spiritual or religious, it just talks about meditating on, God's law, and you will have happiness and success. And we did have something earlier about written communication or something in print. And it's a message that's coming through. So that could be a message for you. I couldn't say. It just says if you do these statutes or these laws, that you will be prosperous and have good success. And that's what I really want for you, Libra. Not Libra. I saw this card. Oh, where was it? Where is he? Libra. I saw this card and thought you were Libra for a second. So I want that for you. I think being as nice and compassionate as you are, just like a Virgo, that you deserve all the happiness you can get, okay? And I really want that for you. So let go of the controlling bad person. Let go of your ability to control it. Leave the past alone, it's dead. And just keep an open mind for somebody who's different than what you're used to liking, okay? All right, that's your reading for 17 Virgo. Thanks for staying and listening. I hope you're happy. Be happy.